This is a Harley Davidson Road Glide S. It's a bike that weighs almost 400 kilograms. The S is meant to stand for special. Let's see how special a 400 kilogram bike is. Harley Davidson Road Glide S for special. I think the special is the only one that's available in Australia. Now this is it. It's a 2019 build, 2020 model year. Not sure what exactly that means, but let's check it out. There you go, it's a bagger. It's got these bags. Look at the size of that. Got a heap of stuff in there. Took this bike down the coast and fit a whole bunch of tools and other gear in here. Carried it fine, didn't even feel it. Not a whole bunch of heavy weight, but it does say don't overload them. You know, just light plastic bags. All right, here's the interesting ignition switch here. Put on ignition, you get the Harley logo coming up, which is pretty cool. Nice clean animation. What are we going? Full tank of fuel. Yes, I accept. Navigation not ready. I don't know, probably because we're slightly undercover. Big stand here. Click the switch, start it up. There we go. Navigation now is ready. There we go. What else we got? We got music. Don't want to play too much music. We got the nav. It's over here. Phone calls. Okay. We go down here, got settings, yep, fine. Favorites, nothing stored, okay. There was a info menu, there you go. It's only adjustable from there, which is fine. There we go, you got your speed, distance travel, temperature, altitude, engine info, tire pressures front and rear, it's pretty cool. Hopefully they're good. You can reset this as well. Average fuel use per 100 kilometers, 5.3 liters per 100 Ks. It's actually really good on fuel. Let's stay on this one for a little bit, see how that goes, eh? What else we got here? Traction control button. Rain mode. Very good. The horn. Ready for the horn? Woo! Meaty horn. Voice commands. Okay. You do that? Yeah, that's fine. Let's get out of that. Let's actually go back to the radio. So you can turn that up or down with this control here, and there's a cruise control button here as well. Volume forward or back, or tuning or audio, your presets. There you go. It's a nice 6-inch display. I'm actually going to turn it off, and you have to hold it for 3 seconds. So you probably don't want to do that when you're on the move. Actually, a bit slippery. It is touch sensitive, but yeah, there you go. I like it. I like the screen. The distraction screen. All right, we're clear, we're clear. All right. Harley Davidson Road Glide. And it glides, does glide on the road. There's a few bikes in this series of bikes. It's the touring series that Harley have. And they're essentially designed to travel long distances in comfort and, you know, a bit of pace as well. It's a very similar sort of basic structure as the Fat Boy I reviewed a couple of weeks ago or months ago now. So similar sort of type frame. The rear suspension is quite different. It does have 2 shocks either side. It's not a soft tail like the Fat Boy was. And it has essentially the same Milwaukee 8 114 engine. In this bike, it is slightly different. I'm not sure what they did exactly. Maybe it's a bit of tuning in a different exhaust system, because it does have twin muffler exits at the back end, which does look pretty mean. But it does have a bit more torque. I think from memory, the Fat Boy had 150 Newton meters, and this has 162. So 10 or 12 more Newton meters, which is cool. Which is cool. You need it. There you go. There's a bit of torque, and I say you need it because this bike is heavy. It's 391 kilograms ready to roll, so wet weight. You know, add a rider and you're talking almost 500 kilos. So yeah, it's not a particularly lightweight bike. But you know, it's not exactly small. It's not exactly a city cruiser. It's jumped from suburb to suburb or cafe to cafe. It's an interstate beast. It's meant to go from LA to NY in comfort, and it can do that easily. I took it down the coast, went through the Royal National Park to see how it would go, and honestly, once you're moving, it's fine. It feels really good. It feels relatively nimble. I make it lean, fine. It kicks over, tips over, feels flexible. You do have to be aware of the weight. You know, you are carrying a bit more momentum, and you do have to stop the bike when you need to a little bit earlier than you would say on a Fat Boy or one of the other ones. But it does have bigger brakes. It does have twin disc, twin calipers, and I'm pretty sure they're made by Brembo. So a big Circle B logo on the rotor, and the calipers probably as well. Even though they have the shield and the bar logo like the Harley logo. It's pretty good, and they work okay. It's all typically Harley brakes. They stop up pretty well, but they do need a fair bit of effort. So I guess they tune it that way. You know, you don't want sort of one finger people, you know, lifting the rear end. But this bike does have all the electronics, so it does the automatic front to rear brake distribution, which is a really good feature. You don't essentially have to use the rear brake at all, and the bike will work out itself. You just use the hand lever. Anti-lock, cornering ABS as well, which is the next step up from regular sort of ABS. It'll you know, manage ABS in a better way when you are going around a corner. So quite safe. Traction control as well. That's, as I mentioned there on startup, it does have a little rain logo. So wet traction control is a good system. It does keep you a fair bit safer when the weather isn't good. You know, riding a bike in the wet is a lot more risky than riding a car. You know, you only have one tire, and that tire skids, it can be the end of you. So if you don't know what I mean, just watch any rainy MotoGP race, and it's like half the field fall over. They just, you know, on the racetrack, one little mistake and then you're sliding. So yeah, it's good to have that wet feature. At the smallest hint of rain, I'd turn that button on to keep this thing upright. So yeah, road glide. There's a couple of glide bikes as well on Harley's touring range, and this is the road glide. The main difference to the two most popular models are the road glide and the street glide, and the main difference is how the fairing is set up. So on the road glide, it's actually mounted to the frame. Now what that means is when you are on the freeway and there's lots of crosswinds and variable winds and all of that stuff, it affects the steering a lot less. So essentially the bike tracks better and tracks straight. It's less affected by crosswinds and that sort of thing, and you know, less vibration and less sort of chattering through the bars. The street glide has the fairing mounted to the bars, so it's on the handlebars, or it's on the forks rather, and it does feel a little bit different. I haven't ridden the street glide, but they say that it does feel a little bit more nimble at lower speeds, but you know, it depends on what you really want. And if you are buying one of these, then I'd say try both, and make sure you try this one on the freeway. You know, since it is a type of bike that you should definitely use it on the freeway. And yeah, this fairing does cover up the front of you pretty well. You know, as I said, I took this down the coast and went through the Nasher and then back on the freeway, which is the 110 zone for us here. And it was fine on the freeway. Definitely notice a lot less wind at the front of you. And I know a lot of Harley riders would wear open face helmets, so your front end would be a lot more comfortable in that regard. But it's got some other vents here as well. It's got this sort of main little vent here, and that does give you a little bit more airflow if it is too hot. You can just sort of feel that there on my glove. You can pop that closed to give you maximum sort of shelter and protection from the wind, and I guess the rain as well. But you know, right here I'm not feeling anything, and there the tips of my fingers can feel the wind, so it does give you a fair bit of protection from the breeze, which is what it's about, right? This is a touring bike, and you want to do those long rides in comfort. Nice big tall bars here, keep you pretty close, nice and relaxed. It's a good setup. And yeah, like look, see, I'm not going fast around this corner, but I could easily go a lot faster. It feels good. It feels pretty good around corners. You don't feel the weight as much as you're moving. The dipping is good, and the lean angle on this thing is actually more than the Fat Boy, which is pretty surprising. I think the Fat Boy was limited by the floorboards. You had some scrapers on there, and I scraped those a fair few times. But I think the limit of this is either the exhaust or the bags at the back, so that's where you end up scraping first. I haven't actually found that limit myself on this thing, but it is, because it is a fair bit more than the Fat Boy, and it's not a whole lot of point trying to corner this thing around hard on roads. So let's just see how we go here through this little national park section. I'm not going to turn around here because that is just a car park. This is not a bike for car parks. That's sort of the main thing I discovered when I first picked it up was don't try to lean it over around car parks, because that weight is pretty high and it will sort of want to go over a fair bit. So you essentially try to keep it upright and use the steering a lot more. So turn with the bars and not the lean at low speeds. Quite different from most of the bikes that I ride, you know, sports bikes and that sort of thing, and you know, most of those are well under 200 kilos, so a little bit of lean at low speeds is very manageable. But you know, if you do want the maximum sort of turning circle, then you still do have to lean it. But the steering angle on this is actually pretty good. You know, as I said, sports bikes are a little bit tricky to manage because the steering at low speeds, the steering angle isn't very far. It does hit that limit, but on this thing it turns over quite a bit, so you can do relatively tight turns on a big rig like this. So yeah, back to the performance. I said the ride is pretty good, handling's pretty good. Got the boys pulling things over. What else we got? Let's take it over the bridge and see how it goes on that road. What else we got? We got, yeah, the engine. Essentially the same as Milwaukee 8114 across the range. A little bit more torque. I don't really notice it because of the weight. Peak torque again is 3000 RPM, and there isn't a whole lot of top end. No, after 4 the torque starts dropping off, and there isn't a whole lot of power there to even bother mentioning. And yeah, it's time to shift up, and it's geared pretty well. You know, 6th gear is probably $2,000 or so at 100 k's an hour. Don't know exactly, but we'll see how we go. Yeah, you just want that 3000 sort of mid-sweep point and shift up a little bit early, but see how we go. All right, so we got 3000, 4000, 5000, and it's pretty much dead. But yeah, it's about torque, all about that torque. What's that, 3rd gear, 80 k's an hour, right in that peak torque range. So it's got a gear shift indicator here on the left dial. Well, these classic looking dials are pretty cool. And I like the feature that the gear position is actually a different position on the display, so you don't really have to see what number you're facing. You can work it out by the position. Wow, a lot of cops out here today. Yeah, just cruising 5th gear, 80, touch over 80, 2000 RPM. Let's go to 6th, under 2000. Yeah, see, under 2000 it doesn't like as much. It does get a little bit rattly there from that air-cooled twin. It's a particularly windy day today, so there might be a fair bit of wind noise coming through, and I've got the GoPro over the top, so that's probably using a bit of wind coverage as well. But yeah, if I duck down, see, it's gone. I'm over that fairing. That's wind, and then up, oh yeah, up more wind. So fairing works. You know, legs are a little bit out covered. You know, the fairing does wrap around here in this section, and then underneath there's these bars that sort of, you know, like roll bars almost. But There's other models that cover that up. I think the Electric Glide has that covered if you want to keep your feet and your legs a little bit warmer, which is a pretty good feature. Cruise control. Let's have a look. You push that in, and then it's green. Okay, and we're cruising. No hands. There you go. You can just relax a bit. Let's see how it cruises. Track's pretty straight. Yeah, good to relax the alternate hands, because without cruise control you're always on the throttle essentially, unless you're rolling down a hill and put it into neutral. You can adjust the speed up and down as well, or cancel it as well. And it does hold the speed pretty well going down hills. I've noticed it uses the engine braking a bit. So yeah, overall good cruise control system. Definitely a nice feature to have when you're doing those long freeway stretches. So let's turn this display back on. Yeah, you can see it was a bit of a stretch there to reach that touch screen. Now I'm taller than the average bear, about 6'2" or 6'3", and longer arms as well. And it was a bit of a stretch, so it's probably not something you want to do too much on the road, unless you stopped. But yeah, the screen looks good, still nice and clear. I've got it in standard mode. There is a high contrast mode which makes everything a bit brighter and everything a bit wider, but I think it might get a little bit distracting then even. Really good mirrors, convex mirrors as well, so objects in mirror are closer than they appear. It's the Harley logo again. But yeah, really good visibility. They're very steady. Fair few sports bikes that I ride have mirrors that vibrate a little bit. You know, they're designed to be lightweight and aerodynamic and all of that. So sometimes on the freeway, what I actually do is just pull the clutch in to sharpen up the image to see if there's a white pointer behind me. Yeah, big stereo, two 6.5-inch speakers with separate tweeters. Sounds pretty good actually. I'm not going to turn it up right now because we're on the freeway. But at low speeds, it's a nice distraction. You can actually link your phone and play Bluetooth music that way, or you can link it two ways. So link your phone to use it as a source through this system, or link your phone, play music from your phone, and then link it back to the headset in your helmet. So that way you've got control on the volume and the track and the source and that sort of thing. But the sound's coming into your helmet, which would be the best way to listen to music. So yeah, pretty clever. Good setup on the audio side of things. There you go. It's got a hydraulic clutch. It's got the reservoir there. I'm not sure if the Fat Boy did or not. I don't remember. It does feel a little bit stiffer than the Fat Boy's clutch. I think they did that, you know, the smoothness and the extra weight of this thing as well. So that's what they did. Pretty good on fuel, bigger tank, give you a fair bit more range. You know, 300-400 Ks is probably doable. Maybe even more if you're taking it easy on the freeway. And yeah, road glide. I will say one thing though, the headlights are amazing. They are the best headlights of any bike I've ridden with. Two big LEDs, I'm not sure what they're called, they're probably called the Daymaker. But yeah, they make everything nice and clear. Super sharp, bright lights. Took it around the night, around the streets, around the main streets of Sydney, and I could see everything really well. It's something you definitely want if it's an interstate touring machine. The gauge setup's pretty cool. You know, it's got a tacho. The Fat Boy didn't have a tacho, which I was, oh well, actually it did, but it was a tiny little sort of digital display, so it's not really clear all that time. You don't see a gauge, and you know, when you're accelerating at 100%, you don't want to be looking down there. But yeah, good to have a separate tacho. Bit of info there as well. Can turn traction control off. It's got the standard Harley left indicator on this side, right indicator on this side, which I don't love, but I guess if you're used to it, it's okay. The fuel gauge, nice and full there, and voltmeter as well. I guess you don't have a an engine temp gauge because it's air cooled, so there's no water to measure the temp off. Oil temp might be alright then. Yeah, there's actually an indicator button up here as well, which is pretty cool. You cycle through the display here and it'll tell you your remaining Ks, your tyre pressures front and rear, and the odometer and trip meters and that sort of thing, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, Road Glide. Yeah, definitely a bike to travel around the countryside with. You know, if I lived in the city and, you know, wanted to take it to work or something, it would not be my first choice. But if I had an intercity commute, yeah, I'd consider one then, definitely. So, you know, would I buy one over a Fat Boy? Nah, you know, it's not needed for me. But, you know, everyone has their own tastes, and that's why Harley have such a big range of bikes to cater to all of those tastes. Yeah, actually want to try some of the smaller Harleys. One of the Sportsters, some of the 1200s, see how they go. See if the 1200cc engine actually revs or has a bit of top end. Be interesting. One of the 48s maybe, one of the classics. Yeah. And of course they've got the Livewire coming out, their first electric bike. It's like the first serious electric bike of any motorbike brand. Hopefully it'll come out this year. That's something I was saying around August. Won't be cheap, but it's quick. It's like the quickest Harley bike there is. So it'll be really interesting to see how that one goes. Over 40 grand, 45, 50 grand or something the same. It's 40 grand in the US, so potentially even like 60 grand here. The way how it's going. The Australian peso. So there you go. Harley Davidson Road Glide. It does glide, you know, at speed. The suspension is set up for that smooth sort of ride. Big 19-inch wheel at the front, 18 at the back. Narrower wheels and tyres than the Fat Boy had. Let's go around here. What do we got here? Looks safe, hopefully. Alright, turn around here, and that might do it. Road Glide is glided home. Alright, there you go. There's a quick review of the Road Glide. It's an interesting bike, no doubt, mainly because of the weight and the add-ons and the extras and the electronics. So yeah, is it special? For the right person. Alright, ride safe.